Hey Mike, where are ya? What are you doing?
Oh my gosh. I fell asleep under the dining room table. Exhausted from those 3 kids.
Under the dining room table?
Is that where I was?
This is Mike and Sandy Kloss from TheRealParents.com. We've got some great tips and tricks on your parenting and relationships. So what's the topic today, Mike?
The topic is getting your kids to sleep on time so that you as parents have some peace of mind.
Well, let's start actually with infants. We had learned a great tip from a good friend of ours, Ralph, that came down to our house in Florida when we had our first child, Hannah. She was pretty brutal to get to bed as a baby.
Basically, he said soundproof the room, lock the door.
At that point, she was several months old. So we're not talking about a newborn to do this with, obviously, because newborns have to eat every hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on the child.
She was standing up in the crib, so she was well into her 6th, 7th, 8th month.
Yeah, so you have to really think about this, but this was a great tip that we received. Basically, he called it the 15-minute rule, and how does that work?
Well, basically what you do is you have to really kind of break it off. You put the child in the crib.
Your evening routine, you give them a bath, you read them a book, get them all set, they're in their pajamas, the room's all comfortable, the lights are dim, no noise. This is how we decided that we would like to set the mood for our children.
Right, so then you lay them down, give them a kiss goodnight or whatever it might be, and then...
This is the crib child.
This is the crib child, yep. And then, you know, she was a screamer and she was a yeller and she wanted to hang out with mom and dad and whoever else was by the house that night, but, you know, we just quite frankly got tired of it. So Ralph said, well, just close the door. He said, trust me, close the door, give her 15 minutes. I guarantee within that 15-minute time period, she will cry herself to sleep. She's going to wear herself out. Sandy and I looked at each other with the same look that we gave each other when her grandma said, your lives are never going to be the same. We said, yeah, right.
But a good thing, a good rule of thumb, go grab yourself a glass of wine or a beer or what have you. Go sit outside your house on your back porch and close the door, because when you hear the screaming for the first few times, it really gives you this agita that you just, it helps, like makes you
dog.
Not, you know, it's hard to resist going in there. So grab a glass of wine, put the radio on, go outside. And then
you know what happens is that you get into conversation and you're talking, all of a sudden you're like, wow, I don't hear that child anymore.
That's exactly what happened with Hannah. The first night was 14 minutes. The second night it was 10 minutes. The third night it was about 6, 7 minutes. And from there on out, when you put her down, you walked out of the room, she knew you weren't coming back in. So it was basically a few nights of tough love, and then all of a sudden for us it was a freedom that we never felt.
And quite frankly, we can speak confidently with experience here, because that's one thing that we definitely did right. Our kids go to bed pretty easily on a nightly basis and typically sleep through the night every single night. So I think that's pretty good with the infant. Maybe we should save some information on some of the older kids for another.
Well,
what do you think?
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll get back to that next time.
Yeah, we don't want to put you guys to sleep with putting your kids to sleep. So anyway. This is Mike and Sandy Kloss for TheRealParents.com. Tune in next time for some tips.
You going back to sleep, Mike? Oh, he's out. Good night.